Hey yo, what's good, Wrestling Warriors? Welcome to VK Punk Wrestling, the pulse pounding, spine slamming, no holds barred hub, and soon to be recognized crown champs of all things professional wrestling. Of course, I am your host, Vin C Punk, the guy with more love for the squared circle than a rookie scrambling for their first tap out. Let's lock up and unpack the absolute insanity of WrestleMania 41 weekend. Go ahead and slam that thumbs up button, yeet the subscribe button into the nosebleeds, and hit that bell icon over the head with a drop kick so you never miss a moment of the mayhem that we have going on here. Missing a VK Punk video, that's like flubbing a senton in front of a roaring crowd. Don't make yourself look silly. Let me apologize first because my voice is still a little strained after the amazing weekend in Raw last night and everything. I know we haven't put out a video in quite a while, but so for this video, we're just going to do everything. We are surfing the tidal wave of WrestleMania's 41 Aftermath, and I'm hotter than a heel champ spitting venom in a mic battle. The grandest stage of them all dished out moments that pinned our jaws to the mat, and we're covering from SmackDown to Raw tonight. From title flips to surprise comebacks, I'm breaking it down with that VK Punk spark in that YAYYY tradition. Plus, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be dropping a podcast soon to dissect the Mania highs and lows. Of course, that'll be like an elevated podcast, hopefully with everybody involved. I'll recap on my predictions war with AK Havoc, where I may have snatched the gold like a cunning ring general. We'll take a look at that during our elevated podcast. It's a wild ride, and I'm ready to keep the heat on like a champ defending their title. Before we do dive into tonight's, let's give a colossal shout out to our sponsor, Capco Championship Belts. These folks forge replicas so dazzling they'd make even the most smug title holder eat their words. From WWE to UFC to boxing, Capco's belts shine brighter than a spotlight on the main event. Dreaming of a one-of-a-kind title? Their belt crafting maestro Abdul is like the Ric Flair of designs. Pure strut and style, folks. I've been rocking their gear forever. Shirts, masks, jackets, you name it. Swing by their website, www.capgointernational.com, to sculpt their lineup and see what they got. Toss a Vin sent me or VK Punk sent me in their Facebook or email. You get that information on the credits to the screen. They're going to take care of you. Their gear's so slick, it's like landing a picture-perfect Hurricane Rana. It's good stuff for real, guys. All right, so let's step through these ropes and get to it. You will notice all the segments have less than I usually give them. That's because there's a lot to go through, so it's okay. We will get back to all the play-by-play and more detailed analysis with our next show, where I only have to cover one show and not 4 nights. But we got about a bunch to run through, so let's get to it. All right, so SmackDown ignites, right? We're going to go all the way back to Friday Night SmackDown. The show kicks off with superstars filing into the arena as Joe Tessitore breaks down the night's card. In the parking lot, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga pull up, exuding bloodline arrogance. Sikoa peels off, leaving Tonga vulnerable, and LA Knight pounces, slamming Tonga's arm in a car door with a thud that echoes like a bad bump. That one way to send a message before the bell. In ring, Seth Rollins owns the mic. He hits the ring as his entrance is sparking deafening ovations. The crowd chants his theme, but also a CM Punk chant that steals the spotlight. Rollins on face smirks and drops to the mat, legs crossed, mic in hand. He dubs it Friday Night Rollins. Then he tears into Punk. The guy didn't return for the fans or WWE legacy. Punk chased a paycheck, plain and simple. Unlike Roman Reigns, who's upfront about his self-interest, Punk hides behind a savior complex. Rollins digs deeper, recounting how Paul Heyman recruited the Shield to back Punk, only for Reigns to hog the glory while Seth toiled in the background. Last year, he played Shield again, helping Cody Rhodes topple Reigns. Now Rollins vows to sacrifice everything to steer WWE's future. That's not bravado. It's a promise etched in stone, right? It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. So this gets a yay, obviously. Rollins delivered a masterclass promo, weaving 12 years of history into a compelling case for WrestleMania's Night 1 main event. He hinted at a heel turn, maybe even aligning with Heyman, which adds layers to his arc. His vendetta against Punk is pure gold. Every mention of Punk's name sends Seth into a spiral like Punk's existence is a personal affront. It's the kind of raw intensity that makes wrestling feel alive. We had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal next. Really crowded thing. There was a lot of people in there. Carmelo Hayes, Shinsuke, Andrade, and Ray Phoenix were the final four. They circled each other. The tension was thick before erupting into chaos. Nakamura aims for Kinshasa but gets drop kicked out by Andrade. Phoenix nearly eliminates Carmelo and Andrade in one, but they hang on. Phoenix unleashes a barrage of strikes on Hayes, only for El Grande Americano to appear from nowhere, tossing Phoenix out. So it's Hayes and Andrade. Trading heavy shots. Andrade lands his signature spinning elbow, but when he tries to intercept Hayes' springboard, Mello outsmarts him, shoving, and Andre's elimination means Carmelo Hayes wins. This was yay, I guess. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do this for last time. It's a statement that he won. He is a star in the making, I guess, even though he's a smaller guy. But this match's placement is baffling. The Andre Battle Royal belongs on WrestleMania's pre-show, not SmackDown, where it feels like a time killer. The action was solid, and Melo's upset victory hints at a push, but maybe not. But this felt like a missed opportunity to showcase these talents on the grand stage. Yay for the outcome, but the booking raises an eyebrow. Okay, so next we have the women's division clash. Tension boils over when Rhea Ripley grabs the mic, vowing to leave WrestleMania as champion and bury her recent missteps. Before she can finish, the champion Io Sky interrupts, ready to fire back. Then Bianca's music hits, and she strides in, claiming the title as her destiny. The crowd boos, but Belair brushes it off. Naomi's entrance, however, cuts through the noise, and she's pissed, calling out Belair for dodging her since arriving on SmackDown. Naomi questions Belair's loyalty, especially her ties to Jade Cargill, who storms to the ring. Naomi ducks behind Belair, who denies playing favorites. Ripley tries to refocus, but Naomi shoves Cargill into Rhea, who collides with Belair. The ring explodes into a brawl. Io Sky, done with the chaos, soars with an over-the-moonsault, leaving everybody down. So, I liked seeing Io end up on top here, but this segment really had potential, but it stumbled. Tying Naomi and Belair's history into the mix added depth, I guess, for wrestling. Needs that lived-in feel. But Ripley and Cargill tease money. Their eventual clash will be a banger. But cramming these stories together the night before WrestleMania diluted the focus, I feel like. The title match, there's no title match. The title match and Naomi Jade's feud deserve their own spotlights. Not a forced crossover. Boo for muddying the stakes here. Next, we had the WWE Tag Team Championship, Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns. The Machine Guns ambush the Street Profits during their entrance and dives that screams high-risk precision. Shelley and Sabin target Montez Ford, dissecting him with crisp teamwork. Dawkins tags in, cornering Sabin with a spinning splash. The Profits connect with their Doomsday Blockbuster, but Sabin kicks out. Sabin attempts to dive, only to eat a brutal right from Dawkins midair. After a break, the Guns hit Ford with a dropkick flatliner combo. Dawkins gets dumped outside, and the Guns set up for Skull and Bones. Dawkins disrupts it, and the action spills ringside. Ford soars over the post, wiping out both teams. Then DIY jump the barricade, attacking everybody. They snatch the tag titles like they're pulling a heist. This goes to a no contest, so the match itself was pretty good. Ford and Dawkins were fighting like they had something to prove, but a no contest on WrestleMania weekend, that's a gut punch. The DIY interference could set up a multi-team Mania match, but we all know it didn't. But right now, it feels like the tag division got shortchanged here on WrestleMania weekend. So boo for an ending that fizzled out a hot contest. So next, Randy Orton throws down the gauntlet. Randy Orton slinks to the ring, all business. He's got no WrestleMania opponent, but missing his 20th Mania is not an option. The Viper issues an open challenge, daring anyone to step up. The arena buzzes with speculation. That gets a yay. Orton kept it concise and effective, planting a seed for Mania's surprise. An open challenge opens the door for anything, a returning veteran, a rising star, a curveball like Aleister Black. It's a simple hook that delivers intrigue without overcomplicating things, so yay for setting the stage. Next up is Zelina Vega versus the Women's United States Champion, Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green tries to rattle Vega, by throwing her entrance skirt, but Vega sidesteps and hits a wheelbarrow arm drag. Green retaliates, stopping Vega and tossing her into the barricade. Vega fires back, though, sending Green crashing into the Timekeeper's area with a back body drop. Both women barely beat the count out, then trade blows. Vega drops Green with a flurry of clothesline, climbs the ropes, and after Green's interference fails, lands a code red from the second rope for the pin. Zelina Vega beats Chelsea. So, we're going to do a yay. Vega's win sets up compelling title chase, and the match was a tidy TV sprint. Yay for advancing the story. But pinning the champion clean, that's a head scratcher. Green's too good to be eating losses like this, especially post-Mania. The booking undercuts her momentum, so a reluctant boo as well. The United States champion LA Knight is next versus Solo Sikoa. LA Knight charges Sikoa in the aisle, and they trade blows like they're settling a blood feud. Sikoa hurls Knight into the ring steps, targeting his knee. After a break, Sikoa's in control, but Knight rallies. Jacob Fatu storms the ring, attacking Knight for another DQ ending. Braun Strowman charges in for the save. The winner is LA Knight via a DQ, but then the SmackDown general manager, Nick Aldis, makes it a tag team match. The United States champion LA Knight and Braun Strowman versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And Fatu takes turns mauling, Sikoa and Fatu take turns mauling Knight. Knight finally tags Strowman, who sends Fatu flying with a dropkick and steamrolls both of his opponents. Knight dodges a Samoan spike and hits Sikoa with the BFT for the win. So, LA Knight and Braun Strowman do win, and this gets a yay. But barely, guys. The action was chaotic fun, with Strowman and Knight delivering crowd-pleasing spots. Yay for the energy, but this felt like a rerun of their recent clashes, and having Knight wrestle 2 full matches the night before his Mania title defense is questionable. Why would he agree to this after winning the first bout via DQ? The booking feels like it's spinning wheels, okay? So, it was fun stuff, though, considering everybody who was in the match. So next, it's the LWO versus American Made. Ray Phoenix and Brutus trade strikes, with Phoenix landing a rolling Rana. Brutus kicks out and Dragon Lee tags in, only to get trapped in American Made's corner. Lee fights back, sending Julius Creed outside with a Hurricane Rana. Then follows with a dive. Gable breaks up a pin attempt. Rey Mysterio tags in, chasing Gable around ringside until Julius and Brutus ambush him. American Made hits diving headbutts on Lee. After a break, Lee traps all 3 opponents in the Tree of Woe, nailing a triple double stomp. Lee tags Phoenix, who blasts Julius with Destino, followed by a Super Meteor for the win. The winners are the LWO. This match was actually a blast, guys. Fast-paced, hard-hitting, and full of flair. Phoenix is carving out a niche on SmackDown, much like Penta is on Raw. The Gable American Made story is clicking, blending technical grit with patriotic heel heat. Yay for a feel-good banger that kept the crowd hot. So now, coming to the end of Friday Night SmackDown, the final face-off for Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Cody Rhodes grabs the mic, but John Cena's music cuts him off. Cena marches to the ring, all intensity, calling Cody a kid and demanding silence. The crowd boos as Cena declares he's retiring on his own terms, unlike most wrestlers who cling to the spotlight. He doesn't need the fans. Cody does, and that's his weakness. Cena says winners write history, not crowds, and Cody's choice to side with the people will cost him at Mania. Rhodes fires back, calling Cena overrated, out of touch, and past his prime, paler than Sting in '97, and still wrestling like it's 2005. The crowd erupts. Cena mocks the fans as aimless, saying he doesn't need to wrestle to win. He lands a cheap eye poke, sets up for an attitude adjustment, but Cody slips free and plants Cena with the crossroads. This was a little bit more electric than I make it sound, of course. Like I said, I'm not digging too deep into stuff today. but Cody took a pro Cena crowd, absorbed their boos, and turned them into cheers by dismantling Cena's legacy with surgical precision. Cena's old school heel tactics, like the eye poke, promise a Mania performance dripping with bad guy heat. The second straight week of Cody standing tall over Cena might spell out trouble for the title reign, though, but this segment set the stage perfectly. Yay for the big delivery. So let's go over the whole SmackDown wrap up. This go home show was a roller coaster, chaotic in the best way, with strong promos and solid action. Most WrestleMania lead-ins fizzle, but this one kind of kept the pedal down. The LWO versus American Made stole the night, and Cena versus Rose closed with a bang. That was your Friday Night SmackDown, guys. It gets a yay as a whole. Oh, what happened? But hold on to your seats because we aren't even close to being done. We have 3 more shows to wrap up. Let's start with WrestleMania Night 1. Okay, first up, it's the heavyweight champ, the world heavyweight champ, Gunther, versus Jey Uso. The bell rings and Gunther locks eyes with Jey, backing him into the corner with a vicious chop that echoes like a gunshot. Jey answers with an uppercut that drops the champ to one knee, forcing Gunther to regroup outside. The ring general charges back, flattening Jey, but misses an elbow drop. Jey absorbs another bone-rattling chop, fires back with an enziguri, and tries to hoist Gunther for a slam, only to buckle under the champ's mask. Gunther unleashes a chop barrage, but Jey ducks a clothesline, slamming Gunther with authority. Jey climbs the ropes only to eat mid-air chop, crashing to the floor. Gunther methodically dismantles Jey, targeting his back. Jey surges out of the corner with a spear, but Gunther kicks out at 2. A thunderous chop rocks Jey, and Gunther sets up a powerbomb. Jey flips it into a Samoan drop. Really interesting how he did that. Gunther responds with a top rope suplex and a running drop kick, landing the powerbomb this time, but Jey kicks out. Gunther tries again, but Jey counters with a Rana, follows with a spear, and nails the Uso splash. Gunther survives. Frustrated, Gunther grabs his title and heads to the exit. Jey dives to stop him, but Gunther clocks him with the belt while the ref's distracted. A top rope splash follows, but Jey kicks out again. Gunther slaps on a rear naked choke. Jey claws to the ropes, breaking the hold. Gunther, enraged, screams at Jey to stay down, pummeling him in the corner. Jey smirks, daring him to keep coming. They trade blows, Jey landing a lariat. Gunther traps him in another sleeper, but Jey reverses into a German suplex, and Gunther's powerbomb attempt is countered by Jey's own powerbomb, followed by a super kick, and another super kick, and a spear. Jey Uso hits the Uso splash, climbs again for another, and when Gunther rolls on his stomach, lands a third one to Gunther's back. Jey locks in his own rear naked choke, and Gunther taps out. Your winner and new world heavyweight champion, Jey Uso. What? That's crazy, right? I don't think a lot of us really expected this to happen. Post-match, Jimmy Uso hits the ring, embracing Jey, and hands him the title. The crowd erupts in yeet chants. Of course they do. This was a career-defining performance for Jey, who looked every bit the main eventer against a master like Gunther. The champ sold like a pro, making Jey's comeback feel earned. The match told a gripping underdog story, with Jey turning Gunther's arsenal against him in a way that felt organic. The only misstep was the finish. Gunther's tap felt abrupt, and his quick exit didn't sell the moment's weight. Still, this was Jey's best single outing in a while, proving he's more than a tag guy. Here's to hoping he holds the gold long enough to cement his run, but wrestling history of hot-shotting titles makes me nervous. He didn't even have the Intercontinental Championship for that long. Getting it for Jey is easy. Holding on to it and giving the reign legs is completely different. So next, though, we have the WWE World Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, versus the New Day. Eric starts strong, hurling Kofi into Woods, sending both the New Day members tumbling outside. Eric slams Ivar off the apron onto Kofi and Woods, and Ivar follows with a diving crossbody that flattens them both. The Raiders dominate, hitting a suplex splash combo for a near fall. Eric attempts a dive, but Kofi and Woods counter, targeting Eric's lingering neck injury. Woods traps Eric as Kofi lands a top rope senton on the apron. Eric kicks out. New Day isolate Eric, wear him down. Ivar finally gets a tag in, bulldozing both opponents and landing a double handspring elbow. Ivar climbs to the top rope, but Woods yanks him down, hitting the honor roll. Eric breaks up the New Day's finisher. Kofi catches Eric with trouble in paradise, but Ivar responds with a spinning heel kick. He looks really good when he does that move. Ivar's doomsault nearly ends it, but Woods saves with a limit break elbow. Eric crushes Woods with a knee strike. Kofi disrupts the Viking experience, and the New Day counter the War Machine, hitting Daylight on Ivar. Kofi holds Ivar's legs as Woods secures the pin. The winner and new WWE Tag Team Champions, the New Day. So we're going to give this a big yay, and mostly because it played out how it played out, not because I care that the New Day are champions. But New Day's heel turn and post Big E reinvention paid off here, proving they can carry the tag division without their third wheel. The match was a solid sprint, though it felt more like a strong Raw main event than a WrestleMania epic. The Raiders shine as chasers, so this title switch makes sense for both teams. Yay for the storytelling that stuck, the big landing, even if the match didn't scream big stage, because the New Day honestly had to win here. There was if the New Day didn't win, this whole thing with them turning heel and losing Big E and doing this whole New Day thing would have been a failure. So they had to win here. So yay for doing this right. All right. So next we had Jade Cargill and Naomi. The bell rings and Cargill powers Naomi into the corner, unloading strikes. Naomi scrambles to the top rope, but Jade press slams her into the mat and tosses her into the barricade outside. Naomi fights back, raking Jade's eyes and hitting an apron-hung X-Factor. She slams Jade's head into the steps and lands a diving blockbuster. Inside, Naomi head scissors DDT gets a 2 count. Jade holds Naomi's momentum with a backbreaker and a big boot, but Naomi's second rope blockbuster attempt is caught, and Jade hits a running jackhammer. Really nice looking move. Naomi kicks out, and Cargill lands a pump kick, but Naomi takes too long climbing the ropes, eating a wheelbarrow bulldog from Jade. Naomi's split leg moonsault gets a 2.9 count. 2 super kicks from Naomi set up her finish, but Jade catches the last kick, hoisting Naomi for an electric chair powerbomb. Jaded follows, and Cargill steals the win. So the winner is Jade Cargill. So let's go ahead and give this the first and possibly the only boo of the night. This match was predictable and exposed both women's limitations. Jade's improved since joining WWE, but she still is very raw and green, and pairing her with Naomi, who despite all of her experience can't consistently carry a match well, was a misfire. The story demanded this matchup, but the execution fell flat with sluggish spots, especially Naomi's telegraph top rope moments. That said, Jade's electric chair powerbomb was a highlight, and this was her best WWE singles match yet. Boo for the clunky delivery, but there's potential for more if this feud continues, I guess. I don't think it should continue. Jade needs somebody who can help her carry a match, and that person is not Naomi. So the United States Championship is up for grabs next with LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Knight opens with a flurry of punches, driving Fatu into the corner. A leaping neck breaker follows, but Fatu blocks a BFT attempt, staring Knight down. Knight hits the ropes only to get caught in a pop-up Samoan drop. Fatu steamrolls Knight, turning a suplex attempt into a splash for a near fall. Knight targets Fatu's knees with a drop kick, sending him outside, and follows with a rope-hung drop kick. Knight's top rope dive is caught, and Fatu power slams him on the floor. Knight kicks out at 2. Fatu's senton misses, and Knight counters with a second pop-up Samoan drop. Counters a second pop-up Samoan drop with a crucifix bomb. A diving elbow gets 2. Fatu climbs for a moonsault, but Knight crotches him. Fatu shoves Knight off, but Knight leaps back, hitting a top rope German suplex. Fatu kicks out, though. Fatu's 3 running hip attacks and a swanton get a 2.9 count. Fatu goes for a double jump moonsault, but Knight catches him midair with a BFT. This was gorgeous. Fatu grabs the rope to break the pin. Knight climbs, but Fatu super kicks his leg, draping him on the turnbuckle. A top rope Samoan drop and 2 best moonsaults ever give Fatu the title. So yes, the winner and new United States champion, Jacob Fatu. You will notice that every championship has changed hands so far, but this was a banger with Knight's mid-air BFT counter stealing it. Man, like I said, that was gorgeous. It was a beautiful thing to witness. Too bad it wasn't the finish. Fatu's blend of agility and power is unreal, and his win feels like a coronation. Knight's reign was fun, but Fatu's a worthy successor, potentially main event bound by next Mania. So yay for high energy clash that showcased both men, even if Knight's next step is a little unclear now. So Rey Fenix versus El Grande Americano. I always want to call him El Americano Grande. But El Grande Americano. So El Grande Americano jaw jacks with Vikingo at ringside, eating a kick to the head for his trouble. Now, this whole thing with Vikingo is amazing. He is one of the most spectacular luchadors. If you haven't watched AEW or AAA or any other thing that he has been on, I think he's been on TNA, MLW. He's been in a lot of places, but he is amazing. This whole thing with WWE buying out AAA and them gonna do some interpromotional things as Americano. Anyway, stumbling into the ring, Americano locks up a Phoenix, trading headstand pin breaks. Both men end up on the top rope where Phoenix sends Americano flying with a Rana. Americano bails and Phoenix follows with a leaping crossbody. Americano counters a splash with a German suplex and turns Phoenix slingshot into a Northern Light suplex. Phoenix kicks out. Phoenix lands a super kick, but Americano catches a charge, suplexing Phoenix into the corner. A moonsault senton from Americano, yes, really, gets 2. So this was like a reverse 450. It was nice. Americano tries to unmask Phoenix, who responds with a Blackfire driver. Americano kicks out. Phoenix adios amigo attempt is thwarted when Americano slips a metal plate into his mask. Phoenix hits the move but tweaks his ankle on the plate. Americano capitalizes with an ankle lock. Phoenix reverses it into a pin, but Americano kicks out. Phoenix's springboard is caught with a metal plate headbutt, knocking him out. A diving headbutt seals it. The winner, El Grande Americano. Post-match, Vikingo helps Phoenix up. So this gets... Big yay, this was a fast physical gem. The El Grande Americano gimmick, Chad Gable leaning into heelish mockery of Lucha Libre. It is a riot. His reverse 450 was a jaw dropper. Phoenix subbing for an injured Mysterio brought his A game, making this harder hitting than expected. The upset win sets up a potential Vikingo clash, especially with WWE and AAA ties now. Yay for a match that over-delivered despite some odd pre-match antics. So next up, we have the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. A lot of people looking forward to this match because of all like the real life drama. So Flair and Stratton lock eyes before Flair takes her down with a double leg. They trade punches, spilling outside where chops fly. Back inside, Flair's corner leap is met with a Stratton elbow, followed by a tree of woe. Double stomp. Flair suplexes Stratton onto the barricade, drawing boos as she dominates. Flair's devil kiss rocks Stratton, but Tiffany dodges a boot, landing a drop kick and a handspring elbow. A spinebuster from Stratton gets 2. Flair stuns Stratton on the top rope, but after reversal, Stratton hits a roll-through drop kick. Flair kicks out, though. Flair's big boot connects, followed by chops. Stratton's cartwheel Alabama slam is countered into a sit-out powerbomb. Flair's moonsault attempt sees Stratton crotch her on the ropes. Flair elbows Stratton off, but Stratton attacks Flair's surgically repaired knee after knocking her to the floor. Flair targets Stratton's knee in return, slamming it into the post. Flair's figure 4 is broken when Stratton attacks her knee. Stratton's prettiest moonsault ever is thwarted by Flair's knees. But Flair's diving natural selection only gets 2. That was a little bit of a crazy move. Stratton counters a corner spear with an Alabama slam into a turnbuckle, landing the prettiest moonsault ever for the win. Winner and still WWE Champion Tiffany Stratton. This, of course, gets a yay from me. This started a little rocky. A clunky neck breaker, an awkward powerbomb spot, hitting at real tension between the two. The rumored animosity gave this a gritty, almost shoot fight vibe. Tiffany's punches after a broken tooth felt personal, and Flair's reluctance to sell clean didn't help. Still, the second half found its groove, and Stratton's win was the right call. Yay for Tiffany retaining, though Flair's sandbagging left a sour taste in my mouth personally. Hopefully this is her last spotlight for a while. She didn't win the championship, so maybe she flubs off now. Who knows? So the main event for WrestleMania Night 1, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk. The Who is going to get custody of Paul Heyman match. So Reigns glares as Paul Heyman fawns over Punk. The bell rings and Punk bails, whispering with Heyman. Rollins pitches a temporary alliance to Reigns to eliminate Punk, but Reigns shuts him up with a fist, pummeling him in the corner. Punk interrupts, chopping Rollins. Reigns floors both with leaping clotheslines. Punk tumbles outside, eating a drive-by from Reigns, who then brawls with Punk and yells at Heyman. Rollins dives, wiping out Reigns, and sends him into the steps. Punk and Rollins clash, fighting into the crowd. Rollins smashes Punk with a trash can. Punk retaliates with a suplex onto it. Reigns leaps the barricade, crashing into both. Punk's running knee is countered by Reigns' Samoan drop. Rollins springboards into Reigns' uppercut. Punk reverses a Superman punch into a neck breaker, landing running knees and combo DDTs on both. A macho elbow follows, but Rollins cuts Punk off. Reigns hoists Rollins up for a doomsday device, with Punk diving off the top. Punk eats a Superman punch, but kicks out. Punk traps Reigns in the Anaconda Vice, but Rollins breaks it up with a frog splash. Rollins buckle bombs both, but Punk counters a pedigree into a GTS attempt. Reigns spears Punk to break it. Rollins turns a spear into a pedigree where Reigns kicks out. Punk avoids a spear that hits Rollins, landing a GTS on Reigns, who kicks out. Rollins and Reigns briefly align against Punk, but Punk stomps Reigns and hits Rollins with a GTS. Rollins survives, however. Heyman slides a chair to Punk after looking between the two of them like he did not know what he was going to do. So he slides it to Punk, but he gets in and low blows him, revealing his ploy. Heyman hands Reigns the chair, urging him to attack Rollins because it looked really reminiscent of the Shield shot. Before Reigns can swing, though, Heyman low blows him too. Rollins is handed the chair and cracks Reigns and lands a stomp for the pin. All thanks to Paul Heyman turning on both CM Punk and Roman Reigns. So the winner is Seth Rollins. This, of course, that's a big yay. This was a chaotic masterpiece, elevated by Heyman's double cross. I'm sorry I'm having such a hard time talking. The trash can spot felt unnecessary. Stand delivers triple threat prove you don't need props for the drama, but the in-ring work was stellar. The constant finisher kickouts worked, fueled by the trio's mutual hatred. Heyman's betrayal teased all match landed perfectly by keeping us guessing until the end, where he turned on everybody. Rollins' win pushes the story towards Backlash, and Reigns' trust issues could birth a compelling arc. Yay for the main event that delivered, though it wasn't the weekend's best triple threat. But that is a wrap-up of Night 1. This was a strong opening night, blending star power and storytelling. Jey Uso's upset over Gunther was a career-defining moment, while Jacob Fatu's U.S. title win marked him as a future headliner. Rey Fenix and El Grande Americano delivered a surprising banger, and Jade Cargill's win over Naomi, it was kind of her best match yet, despite some pacing issues. New Day's tag title victory felt right, but lacked Mania gravitas. Tiffany Stratton's retention over Charlotte Flair that overcame early hiccups in the match, though their chemistry faltered. The main event triple threat with Heyman's betrayal was the night's peak, setting up a juicy fallout. A few matches didn't hit the WrestleMania mark, but the highs carried the show. So let's just dive right into WrestleMania Night 2. Anyway, WrestleMania Night 1 gets a yay, folks. So, like I said, directly into WrestleMania Night 2, the Women's World Champion, Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair in a triple threat match that has a lot of convoluted story going into it. The match ignites with Ripley and Belair jawing, only for Sky to step between them. Both try to shove her aside, but Sky bats their hands away. Belair flips Sky into a Rana that sends her tumbling, and Ripley follows with a drop kick that floors the champ. Belair and Ripley trade blows, but Sky charges, prompting Belair to backflip out of harm's way. Belair unloads 10 corner punches on both women, but Sky slips free, yanking Belair's braid. Sky nails a double blockbuster, and Ripley sends Belair to the floor. Ripley's cannonball connects, but Sky answers with an Asai moonsault, crushing Ripley, then lands a double stomp, but Ripley kicks out. Belair drags Ripley out, hitting Rollins rolling suplexes and a delayed vertical suplex. Sky's Rana attempt is caught by Belair, who swings her into the barricade. Ripley and Belair team up, slamming Sky into the steel. Ripley tosses Sky into Belair with a razor's edge. Sky rolls through stomp, is countered into Ripley's prism lock, but Belair breaks it with a KOD attempt, which Ripley escapes. Both land simultaneous facebusters on each other. Sky rockets in, bulldozing both. From the top, Sky's dive is thwarted by Ripley, but Belair suplexes both off the ropes. Ripley boots Belair mid leapfrog. Sky springboard dropkick follows. Belair spears Sky, then hits a 450 splash. Ripley breaks the pin with a riptide, but Belair kicks out of that. Sky turns a riptide into a DDT and charges, eating a Ripley kick. Ripley sets up a top rope riptide, but Sky counters with a hip toss. Sky's over the moonsault, falters, and Belair catches her with the KOD, but Ripley breaks it up. Belair shoves Ripley, yelling about outworking her. They trade strikes, and Ripley sends Belair into the post. Sky's avalanche poison Rana is blocked. Ripley smashes her head into a post. Belair pulls Ripley off the ropes for a KOD, but Ripley lands on her feet, setting up Riptide, which Belair escapes, whipping Ripley with her braid and hitting the KOD as Belair pins Sky Solar's with an over the moonsault, stealing the victory. The winner and still WWE Women's Champion, Io Sky. This was a chaotic masterpiece with all three women throwing everything into high-octane brawl. Ripley's post-smash on Sky was vicious, enough to make you wince, and Belair's athleticism, despite early crowd heat, won them over. Sky's win was predictable given the build's focus on Ripley versus Belair, underestimating her and focusing on themselves, but the execution was flawless, with near falls that kept you guessing. This set a blistering pace for the night, and good luck to whatever follows. Yay for a triple threat that lived up to its billing. So next, we had the Sin City street fight between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. McIntyre ambushes Priest before the bell. Came out to some pretty crazy stuff. We'll talk about all that on the Elevated podcast. And the brawl spills outside instantly. Priest fires back with a dive, slamming McIntyre into the barricade. They battle up the ramp where McIntyre suplexes Priest onto the steel. Priest hurls the ring steps into McIntyre's face, then pulls a table from under the ring. McIntyre retaliates, smashing Priest with the steps repeatedly, grabbing a fan's phone, his brother's apparently. McIntyre snaps a selfie over Priest's prone body. McIntyre sets up two tables outside, landing a dive, but Priest counters a claymore by tossing a chair. McIntyre powers through and hits it anyway. Priest kicks out. McIntyre wraps a chair around Priest's neck, charging for another claymore, but Priest counters with a chokeslam. McIntyre kicks out, however. Priest unleashes chair shots, then turns an avalanche white noise into a razor's edge through a table, but McIntyre survives. Priest preps for South of Heaven on the steps, but McIntyre escapes, hitting a future shock DDT onto the steel instead. Priest still kicks out. A hockey fight ensues with McIntyre landing a Glasgow kiss. Priest answers with a lariat off the ropes. McIntyre shoves Priest off the top through two tables, then props Priest's head against a chair for a claymore, secures the win by the pin off of that. Your winner, Drew McIntyre. I know not everybody agrees with this, but this was a brutal no-rules slugfest it needed to be. In a weekend full of plunder matches, this one stood out by using the environment smartly. Chair shots, table spots, and that step-throwing moment felt purposeful, not gratuitous. McIntyre's final Claymore, chair-assisted, was a vicious payoff to his revenge arc. Priest took a beating that should have required a stretcher, selling the stakes perfectly. Yay for a street fight that delivered intensity and story. So next up, we have one that I'm dying to talk about. The Intercontinental Championship match between Braun Breaker as the champion, Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor. Two guys from the same faction in on this match together. So Breaker charges Dominic at the bell, but Dom scrambles away. Breaker stomps Penta while Dom and Balor toss Breaker outside. Penta dives, but Breaker catches him with a shoulder block. Penta's springboard is intercepted with a slam. Breaker spears Dom, but Balor breaks up the pin. Balor's sling blade connects, and Penta sticks Balor and Dom for a headstand dropkick. Penta sets up his finisher on Balor, but Breaker suplexes both of them simultaneously. Dom hits the Three Amigos on Penta. Breaker suplexes Balor and Dom at once. Balor climbs, eating a Frankensteiner. Balor kicks out. Dom's 619 attempt is blocked. Balor stomps him. Penta driver on Balor is interrupted by Breaker. Penta and Breaker trade blows, but Carlito low bridges Breaker outside. Penta nails Dom with a Mexican destroyer, but Carlito pulls Penta to the commentary desk. Breaker leaps from one desk to another, spearing Carlito through it. Breaker spears Penta next, but Dom hits a 619 on Breaker. Dom's top rope move is thwarted by Balor, who lands a double stomp on Breaker. Dom breaks that pin with a frog splash, stealing the pin on Balor. Winner and new Intercontinental Champion is Dominic Mysterio. This match was pure chaos done right. Breaker was a human wrecking ball looking like a star even in defeat. Penta and Balor shone, but Dom's sneaky win was the perfect heel move, sparking a dozen potential feuds. The crowd ate it up, proving Dom's heat is unmatched. He's got so much heat that the crowd love him. The crowd love him and love that he won. So night 2's hot streak continues, outpacing night 1, and this match was a big reason why. Yay for the multi-man sprint that fired on all cylinders. Of course, next, I'm also really interested in talking about this. Of course, next, we have Randy Orton Open Challenge that was answered by none other than say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Okay, Orton grabs the mic, vowing to deliver a WrestleMania moment via RKO to whoever answers his challenge. But Joe Hendry's music hits and the crowd is stunned. They are shocked, they are shook, but they are clapping and they are cheering for Joe Hendry. They are singing his music. Orton goes for an immediate RKO when the match starts, but Hendry counters into a pin. Orton kicks out fairly easy. Oh, goodness. Hendry drops Orton with a shoulder block and calls for his finisher, grabbing Orton's throat. Orton, baffled, swats him away, landing a clothesline and a hangman's DDT. Hendry counters an RKO with a fallaway slam, striking his signature pose, the little turnaround thing he does, but Orton catches him with an RKO out of nowhere for the win. Post-match, Orton helps Hendry up, urging him to soak in the moment. As they celebrate, Orton drops Hendry with another RKO. Here, take that one home with you, Hendry. Mimics his little turnaround pose and does it into the Randy pose. Really fun stuff. And pats his chest with a smirk. The winner, of course, Randy Orton, and this gets a big yay. Nobody really saw Joe Hendry coming, and this short, sweet match was a delightful surprise. Orton clearly relished playing the veteran gatekeeper, while Hendry's charisma won over the Mania crowd in minutes. This post-match RKO was peak Orton, giving Hendry a rub while reminding everybody who's boss. Yay for a fun, memorable cameo that didn't overstay its welcome. So next we had AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Styles and Paul lock up, reaching a stalemate. After reversals, Styles floors Paul's with a shoulder block and a drop kick. The fight spills outside, where Styles traps Paul in the ring skirt, landing punches and a running knee. Styles sends Paul into the barricade, but Paul reverses, slamming Styles into the post. Paul dives off the apron, then poses with a drone circling the ring. Paul's Paul from Grace gets a 2. An overbomb follows, but Styles grabs the rope. Styles rallies with an Ushigoroshi and a brainbuster, but Paul kicks out. Styles sets up his finisher, but Paul catches him with a rolling senton and a lion salt. Styles survives, kicks out at 2, but Paul's buckshot lariat gets another 2. Styles ducks a punch, hitting a spinning power bomb, but Paul kicks out. Paul blocks a springboard 450, hitting a Styles crash, but Clash reverses into his own Clash, and you get like a double down. A Paul crony tries to pass Brass Knuckles, but Karrion Kross is there to intervene, urging Styles to use them. Styles tosses the Nux, decks Kross, and eats a knockout punch from Paul, who finishes it. The winner, Logan Paul. This one gets a yay, but barely. Paul's athleticism is undeniable, and Styles is a ring general, but this match felt flat. The lack of build translated to the crowd that didn't really care, and the results was a TV level bout on the Mania stage. Paul's win makes sense for his arc, but Styles deserves a hotter feud. Yay for the effort, but this was the night's low point. Okay, so next we have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Lyra Valkyria and a mystery partner. And the mystery partner, of course, is revealed as Becky Lynch. I guess nobody really took that to be too surprising. Lynch demands to start against Morgan, who tags Rodriguez. Lynch feigns a tag, but clocks Rodriguez instead. Rodriguez tries a slam, but Lynch turns it into a sleeper. Valkyria tags in, unloading on both champs. Morgan shoves Valkyria off the top rope into Rodriguez's boot. The champs isolate Valkyria, wearing her down. Valkyria tags Lynch, who clears house, locking Morgan in the disarmor. Rodriguez breaks it. Morgan hits Oblivion. Valkyria saves with a DVT to Rodriguez on the floor. Lynch nails Morgan with a manhandle slam for the win. The winner and the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions are Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. This one also gets a yay. Sort of. Lynch's return popped the crowd, but the reveal felt like it was telegraphed, and the match itself felt like a Raw main event. All 4 women are talented, but this lacked the spark needed for Mania. They'd have been better in singles matches to showcase their skills. Yay for the title change and Lynch's comeback for sure, but this did not feel that special. Okay, so next we get the main event of night 2, the undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, and here we go. Rhodes and Cena lock up, with Rhodes landing a shoulder block. Cena bails to stall, then floors Rhodes with a right hand and a big boot, mocking him with a curtsy. Cena dominates, shrugging off Rhodes' comeback with a tornado DDT. Really interesting to see him use that move. Cena's shoulder block and five knuckle shuffle, easy for me to say, connect. But Rhodes pokes Cena's eye, landing a disaster kick and a Cody cutter, but Cena kicks out. After Cena's attitude adjustment gets 2, Rhodes turns an AA into a pin, but Cena escapes that. So Cena's super AA is countered with a power bomb, but Cena survives. A super Cody cutter only gets 2. Cena's STFU traps Rhodes. I call it the STFU because that is what Michael Cole called it. And I'm sure that that's what we're going back to calling it, is no longer the STF, but is now the STFU again. So anyway, Cena's STFU traps Rhodes, who nearly reaches the ropes before Cena drags him back. The ref gets squashed in the corner during Rhodes' escape. Rhodes hits Crossroad, but there's no ref. He gets the visual pinfall. Cena rips the turnbuckle pad, smashing Rhodes' head into the exposed steel twice. Another AA follows that, but Rhodes kicks out. Travis Scott appears for some really weird reason. The Rock's going to show up soon, right? And Cena tries to hold Rhodes for a cheap shot. Rhodes shoves Scott away, hitting Crossroads on Cena, but Scott pulls the ref out. Rhodes confronts Scott, who swings and eats across Rhodes himself. Cena tries to use the title, but Rhodes tosses it aside. Cena low blows Rhodes and hits him with the belt and the pin. Winner and new undisputed WWE champion, John Cena. Wabadoo! Burr, burr, burr. So this was a deliberate slow burn and a bad match. That's the point. Cena leaned into every heel trick, stalling, basic moves, a drawn out 5 moves a doom, to ruin wrestling. He's ruined the main event of WrestleMania just as he promised he was going to do. This match was a stinker. Boy, was it boring. But that's what it was supposed to be. You weren't supposed to be excited. John Cena is giving all of you nothing, all of us nothing, which is what he said. He's giving us all nothing, and that's what he gave us. He gave us nothing. He gave us a watered down version of John Cena, who is already a watered down version of John Cena. This Travis Scott involvement felt forced. Where was The Rock? But Cena's methodical, unexciting style was intentional. Selling his vow to dismantle Cody's heroic narrative. Cody's choice to reject the title shot cost him, setting up a compelling heel run for Cena. If you don't like it, if you don't like the match, if you don't like the story, you've missed the psychology. This is storytelling done right. Yay for the main event that took risks and landed, whether anybody understood it or not. So WrestleMania 41, Night 2 wraps up. Night 2 definitely outshone Night 1 in my opinion. I've heard a lot of opinions that go the other way, and that's okay. We can have different opinions. Delivering emotional payoffs, brutal brawls, and moments that felt worthy of the Mania stage. The Women's World Championship triple threat was the night's peak, even though it started out the card. A frenetic clash where Sky's win capped a masterclass in pacing. Dominic Mysterio's sneaky Intercontinental title grab was a highlight for sure, setting up a lot of feuds. The street fight and Orton's Open Challenge delivered in different ways, while the main event's divisive psychology worked for those who got it. The women's tag match and Styles versus Paul underwhelmed a little bit, but the highs like Sky's retention and Dom's upset carried the show. Night 2 for WrestleMania gets a yay for a memorable night. Alright guys, so we are done with both nights of WrestleMania. We got one more show to do in the form of the Raw after Mania. So let's keep going and get this done. I'm sorry if I'm going a little fast. I don't want to go over too much time on this. So John Cena's heel reign begins. The new undisputed WWE champion John Cena struts to the ring, the title slung backwards over his shoulder like a deliberate jab. You guys don't even get to see it. He beckons the ring announcer into the ring, handing over a note. The crowd boos as the announcer, visibly uncomfortable, reads that his initial introduction was disrespectful and Cena demands a redo. And the announcer delivers a hyped up, over-the-top version of it. The fans cheer despite themselves caught in Cena's web. Cena sneers, declaring winners write history, and the crowd isn't worthy of him. He calls out their boos from SmackDown, asking if they treat their families this way, demanding an apology they don't have the guts to give. The crowd flips between jeers and ironic sorry chants, with some hurling a-hole taunts. Cena doubles down, saying the WWE Universe is irrelevant, only his legacy matters. He points to the Tron, revealing 36 dates left in his career. Not matches, but appearances. When a new champ is crowned, Cena's taking the title lineage with him as the last true undisputed champion. Cody Rhodes was their best shot, and he failed them. Cena dares anyone to challenge him, posing for photos as the last real champ, but suddenly, Randy Orton appears, dropping Cena with an RKO out of nowhere. This, of course, gets a yay. Cena's heel work here was surgical, tearing into the crowd with a venom that refused their cheers. He's not playing the cool bad guy. He's a full-on narcissist, and it's glorious. The Orton surprise was a masterstroke, reigniting an old rivalry from Cena's retirement tour. This promo set the stage for months of compelling stories, proving why Cena's title win was the right call. Yay for a scorching opener that didn't let the fans breathe. Okay, so next we had a rematch for the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions between Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria and the Judgment Day. Morgan pounces at Lynch at the bell, but Lynch fires back, teaming with Valkyria to clear the ring. After a break, Morgan and Rodriguez have Valkyria trapped, cutting her off. Valkyria tags Lynch, who unleashes a flurry of strikes. Morgan counters a manhandle slam into a pin, and with Rodriguez's distraction, lands a codebreaker. Morgan's Oblivion attempt is thwarted. Lynch hits the manhandle slam, but Rodriguez breaks the pin. Morgan snatches Lynch off the top rope for a running powerbomb, and Rodriguez follows with a second rope powerbomb. Valkyria kicks out, however. Valkyria's Tornado DDT and Nightwing rock Rodriguez, but Morgan saves with a rope break. Lynch eats a ring post. Rodriguez boots Valkyria and tries to powerbomb Morgan onto her, but Valkyria gets her knees up in the chaos. Morgan nails Oblivion on Valkyria for the win. Post-match, Lynch helps Valkyria up, only to turn on her and give her a lariat. Screaming, Lynch storms off, then returns to pummel Valkyria with 3 manhandle slams. Winners and the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, after just losing them the night before, and now the 4-time Women's Tag Team Champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the Judgment Day. I'm not much for them losing the titles and hot-shotting the belts back and forth like this. I mean, if it's like a blood feud that goes on for months where they pass it back and forth, that would be cool, but that's not what we did here. Lynch's Mania return and title win were electric, but losing the belt so soon stings. Until that turn, of course, the women's division needs a credible heel, and Lynch's brutal betrayal delivers. The match itself topped their Mania outing, though it still felt like a TV rerun. The Lynch heel turn, while predictable, was executed with venom, but it's starting to feel like her go-to move. Yay for the story progression, but the recycled formula docks points. Valkyria finally gets a real feud, which is a win. And of course, it's the New Day. It's your boys, the New Day. New Day's Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston hit the ring, basking in the WWE World Tag Team Champions. Woods demands the crowd kneel and chant, "Thank God for the New Day." Kingston boasts no tag team past or present touches them. Alpha Academy interrupt with Maxine Dupree challenging the New Day for a title shot against Otis and Tozawa, mocking Woods and Kingston as Minutemen. New Day accepts, but before the match starts, the lights drop, Rusev's music blares, and the Bulgarian Brute storms in. New Day bails as Rusev obliterates Alpha Academy, floors Otis with a Machka kick, and then locks him in the Alkalade. You can already guess that this gets a yay. Rusev's return was a shot of adrenaline, saving us from a lackluster title match that would have been Alpha Academy and the New Day. Otis and Tozawa are lovable, but they're not credible challengers, at least not yet. Rusev crashing the party feels like a time warp to 2018, and it's way more fun than it should be. The New Day as champs and Rusev back in the mix. It's like WWE raided a nostalgia vault. But it works. Yay for a surprise that popped the crowd and set up new stakes. Very good stuff, guys. So next, the sky is the limit. Women's World Championship match. She didn't have a match, did she? Women's World Champion Io Sky. Oh, yeah, she did. It was like a little impromptu match. The Women's World Champion Io Sky takes the mic, proclaiming herself as the best after toppling Ripley and Belair at WrestleMania. She vows the fans will never forget her reign. NXT Women's Champion, however, Stephanie Vaquer interrupts, surprisingly enough, offering respect but challenging Sky to prove who is truly elite, because Vaquer only wants to fight the best, and she agrees that Sky's the best. Sky of course, agrees to this impromptu match. Raw GM Adam Pearce hits the stage, pulls the crowd, and books it on the spot. So, Stephanie Vaquer, Sky trade holds with Vaquer sending Sky flying via a Hurricane Rana. Sky lands on her feet. Sky cartwheel past Vacor's attack, landing a dropkick. Vacor rolls outside. Sky follows with a crossbody through the ropes. Vacor answers with a barricade dive. After a break, Vacor climbs, but Sky hip tosses her to the mat. A missile dropkick and over the moonsault attempt follow, but Vacor dodges. Sky lands on her feet. Sky gets caught in the corner. Vacor hits a dragon screw. Sky's double stomp gets 2 after reversals. Vacor's devil kiss is countered. Sky kicks out. Vacor's Rana roll-up nearly steals it. Sky's backbreaker gets 2. They trade strikes and a German suplex is collapsing. Vacor ascends, but Sky cuts her off with an avalanche Spanish fly. Roxanne Perez spears Sky out of nowhere, prompting the ref to call for the bell. Post-match, Julia appears, dropping Vacor with a kick. Julia and Perez team up, attacking Sky and Vacor. Rhea Ripley charges in, making the save, handing Sky her title, weirdly enough, and declaring that she's coming for it. The winner, of course, by DQ, of course, is Io Sky, and this was a technical showcase that stole the night. Sky and Vacor delivered a clinic with moments where Vacor seemed poised to upset, suspending disbelief. Not a call-up, but a hell of a debut for Vacor, proving she belongs. The Perez and Julia interference was a brilliant curveball, layering main roster tension with Ripley's save. This wasn't just a match, it was a statement for the women's division. Yay for a banger that set up multiple feuds. Okay, so next we go up into championship yeeting. The new World Heavyweight Champion, Jey Uso, hits the ring, yeeting with the crowd. They demand an encore, and Jay's music hits for another round. Jay declares himself the city's champ, soaking in the cheers. He recounts his grueling Mania win, making Gunther tap as the crowd chants he tapped out. Sami Zayn interrupts, however, hugging Jay. Zayn admits missing Mania, and Jay struggles with Gunther weighing on him. He's proud Jay proved he's the guy. Zayn calls for a celebration, cueing Jay's music again for more yeeting. And Zayn lingers behind Jay, teasing a turn, but hugs him again. And then, of course, Jimmy Uso's music hits, and he comes out. The trio do handshakes and yeet together. Okay, so this, unfortunately, is another Jey Uso segment that gets a boo from me. This was a feel-good moment with Zayn and Jimmy celebrating Jay's title win, and the tease of Zayn's turn added some intrigue, but the segment leaned too hard on Jay's music and yeeting gimmick, dragging it out past its welcome. Jay's over as hell and a beast in the ring. Let him talk and wrestle, not just wave his hands to a beat. The pauses for crowd interaction felt like stalling, and the segment begged for a twist that never came. Boo for celebration that overstayed and overplayed its catchphrase. So now we get Gunther's rampage. When we get back from a break, the former World Heavyweight Championship Gunther storms to the announce desk, berating Michael Cole over his Mania commentary. Cole stands his ground, but Pat McAfee steps in. Gunther shoves McAfee, trying to lock Cole in a rear naked choke. McAfee clubs Gunther from behind, only to get choked out himself. Referees and officials swarm, but Gunther holds the choke until McAfee goes limp, turning red. This gets a big yay. This was a gem of chaos, and Cole's defiance, McAfee's heart, and Gunther's unhinged intensity made this must-see. McAfee's overselling on the way out was a touch much, but Cole played the outraged voice perfectly. Gunther's 2 main roster losses, both at Mania, both costing him his titles, fuel this meltdown. Hinting at a McAfee versus Gunther clash, maybe? It's a wild idea, but Gunther's not losing that. Yay for a segment that kept the crowd buzzing and sparked debate all night. So next, the Intercontinental Championship, Dominic Mysterio with the Judgment Day versus Penta. Dom tries a headstand, but Penta boots him in the gut. Dom stomps Penta in the corner, but Penta fires back with a Rana. Dom dropkick catches Penta off guard, and Penta answers with a top rope crossbody. Dom bails, Penta follows with a tope. After a break, Penta's near fall is countered by Dom's Michinoku driver. Penta kicks out. Dom's Super Mexican Destroyer attempt becomes a Tornado DDT. Penta's top rope Rana sends Dom flying, followed by a Mexican Destroyer, but Dom rolls outside. Balor checks on Dom, eating a Penta Rana. JD McDonough, however, hops the barricade, shoving Penta off the top rope, where Dom capitalizes with a 619 and a frog splash for the win. Your winner and still the Intercontinental Championship after a whole day, Dominic Mysterio. Dom retaining along with JD McDonough's return, and both of them playing into each other is peak Judgment Day chaos. The match was a fun sprint with Penta shining and Dom's heat unmatched. Balor's shaky standing in the group adds intrigue. His exit feels imminent. McDonough's bump heavy return was a treat though, and this sets up endless challengers for Dom yet. Yay for a hot finish and faction drama that keeps you hooked. Okay, so next we go into the Revolutionary and the Traitor. Seth Rollins enters to a roaring crowd singing his theme, extending his hand for Paul Heyman to hand him a mic. Boo's reign on Heyman as Rollins brags about stealing Reigns' wise man and Punk's best friend, cementing himself as Mania's main event victor. CM Punk's music cuts him off and Punk storms in, taping his fist. They brawl as Heyman tries sneaking up on Punk, who grabs him by the throat, teasing a hug. Rollins gouges Punk's eyes, landing a stomp. Heyman declares Rollins WWE top star. But then Roman Reigns' music's hit, and he charges, spearing Rollins. A terrified Heyman eats a Superman punch. Reigns sets up for a spear, but a hooded figure spears him first. And OM God, it is Braun Breaker. Punk re-enters, only to get speared as well. Breaker sends Reigns through the barricade with another spear into the Timekeeper's area. Rollins closes with a stomp on both Punk and Reigns. So once again, this was a chaotic closer that mapped out WWE's next year. Rollins building a new faction, Shield 2.0 or Evolution Reborn, with Breaker feels massive, and a third member seems likely. The brawl, Heyman's panic, and Breaker's dominance tied it together. Punk, Reigns, and Rollins each got their shine, but Rollins stood the tallest. Yay for a segment that reset the main event scene with a bang. We're going to give it another yay. So let's wrap up WWE Raw and this weekend. The post-Mania Raw was a storytelling juggernaut packed with surprises, fresh rivalries, and bold new directions. Seen as venomous heel promo, punctuated by Orton's RKO, was the night's best mic work, setting up a dream retirement tour arc. Sky vs. Vakor was the match of the night, possibly the weekend, delivering a technical masterpiece with a chaotic fallout that roped in Julia Perez and Ripley into the mix as well. Rusev's return and Dom's title defense popped, but Lynch's turn felt rote, and Jay's yeet fist dragged. Even the slower moments carried weight, making this a reset that promised an electric year. Yay for a show that hit hard. Okay, so a heartfelt shout out to every one of you legends tuning in. You're the soul of VK Punk Wrestling, and we're so stoked to have you riding with us. Real talk, life has been throwing some heavy punches lately. A grueling match that shake even the toughest. But like a relentless fighter in the ring, we're coming back with more grit, more passion, and a vow to keep this fire blazing. But here's the deal. When life slams you down, you grit your teeth, you push through, and fight for your moment. Hit that final move, pin the chaos for the count, and claim your victory, because you're the star of your own epic, and the arena is roaring for you. Let's keep this vibe alive. Flood the comments with your wild energy. Tell me your top moments from tonight or the whole weekend. Just scream about your WrestleMania hype. Slam that subscribe button like it's a steel chair. Share this video with your squad to grow the VK Punk family. And stay locked in for my predictions. Our elevated podcast that will discuss predictions, war games. And mark my words, I'm stepping into that war, and I might be walking out with the gold. It's going to be a whirlwind of mayhem and swagger. You'll never forget. We got more videos coming for you this week. Be sure you stay tuned. We are now on TikTok, so you can find us on TikTok of VK Punk Wrestling. Also, be sure to subscribe here. leave some noise in the comments. I'm Vin C Punk for VK Punk Wrestling, and we the ones for wrestling content. Everybody take it easy. Have a good night.